Hey guys, it's Steve, Hobo with Wood, and I wanted to bring you another video with fun with mirrors. Apparently, a lot of my subscribers are either extremely vain or just enjoy playing with mirrors because the mirrors have been my highest viewed videos. So I wanted to show you what I'm doing with mirrors now, and there's some pretty interesting techniques. So let's jump in here and see what it looks like. Okay, so I've been running tests on the mirrors, and I've got two different tests with varying results here. So the first test I did was actually using masking tape. I had great success with masking tape engraving glass, and I thought, why not engraving glass mirrors? So I took the same masking tape and placed a single layer of masking tape on the face of the mirror and did a slow burn at 15 millimeters a second and 100% power. I did that burn twice on two different lines of text, with the variant being the first time I ran it, it was 15 millimeters a second and 100% power, but it was in a bidirectional fill, just, what you normally see, left, right, all the way across and fill the whole thing up. The second time I did that, I did it on an individual fill. Now, if you're not familiar with that, I'm going to show you here on the computer in a second. But the individual fill will fill just as it says, each individual letter before moving to the next one. And I got some pretty interesting and different results from doing that, which led me, when I went to do my second test, I used the individual fill on both of those tests, but the variant on that was, did I engrave the mirror from the front or from the back? And those got different results. So let me show you those results, and then I'll show you exactly how it was set up on the computer. Okay, so ignore the marking in red, because that was an attempted engrave that led to this mirror being waste. So that's why I was able to use this to do these tests. Now, the first test I did was this one here. Masking tape, front of the mirror, 15 millimeters a second, 100% power. And I just wasn't very happy with that outcome. I did notice, I'm trying to make her focus here, there was a unique etching taking place throughout the depth of the glass. It was like it had a shadow. It had a shadow engraving of itself through the depth of the glass. So I kind of like that, but I didn't like the overall outcome. Now right now it's dark behind it because it's sitting on a piece of glass. I pick it up and put it up here, and now you can see there is no material. You can see straight through it, and you can see the engraving. Now, the second test I did, you can see, if I just back up, you can see the difference. The second one's the one here on the bottom. And the difference I did there was the individual fill. And look how much cleaner that is. Look how much nicer. So if you're asking me about the powers, they're right there. If you're asking me about my settings, they're right there. So ignore the one in pink. But they're both masking tape on the front of the mirror. Both of them at 15 millimeters a second and 100% power. The difference being that last one was on individual fill. Now it's much cleaner and much nicer, and that led me to doing two more tests. These. Test 1 and test 2. Now the difference between these tests, focus baby, not on me, there we go, was one's done from the front, one's done from the rear. The one from the front was done with masking tape, and that was test 1. Test 1 is with masking tape on the front of the mirror, but I reduced the speed to 12 millimeters a second and 100% power. Single pass, bidirectional fill, but flood fill. Not flood fill, I keep saying flood, it's individual fill. So individual fill, single pass, 12 millimeters a second, 100% power. Same settings as the one above it there, this test 2, but it was done from the rear, and you see right there in that letter I, come on, don't focus on me. There. See in the middle of that letter I? It's kind of blown out. And that's exactly what it is. When engraving it on the back there, that letter, for whatever reason, it literally blew the glass out of the back of the glass, and now there's a deeper hole there. So it changed the look of that when you're looking through it. Now, the biggest difference, and what I really liked, laying it back down here and get all the dirt off of it. This one that was engraved from the front has a 3D effect. I mean, just watch that. Now it's dark because I've got it laid on a green table. But watch as I roll the camera. That looks like that letter is embossed onto the glass. That is wicked. You don't get that effect, not as much, when you go from the rear. And there's that blowout. Is that not cool? I haven't seen anybody else doing this, so we're going to call this the Hobo Method. Alright? Let it be known from this day forward, engraving a glass mirror with masking tape, 12 millimeters a second, 100% power, individual fill, from now on known as the Hobo Method. And what I would like to do is do an image like this on a piece of glass that I can put in a shadow box, moving the mirror to the front of the shadow box and then placing lights behind it. That will be cool. But now that I've got this done, I'm going to, since I don't have a shadow box to fit this 12 by 12, I'm going to paint these. I'm going to paint them just a solid black and see what that does to that image. Does it make that 3D more noticeable or less noticeable? So stay tuned for that. Okay, so real quick, if you're not familiar with the individual fills, I was going to show you how you see that. Now this, to show you, there you go, preview. This is done on your regular bidirectional fill. You see how it just left to right, and it builds the image up as it goes. All right. That was the very, very first test that was so muddy. So all of the other tests, I came down here. This, I think, yeah, still relevant, but it's fill shapes individually. Still doing a bidirectional fill, but it's only doing each individual shape, left, right, left, right, left, right, filling in both directions, but only the letter A as it builds itself up. So let's take a look. And actually, before I show you that, I want you to notice something else. Fill all shapes at once. Preview. This was 50 minutes to do a burn that way. Fill shapes individually. 30 minutes. So we took 20 minutes off of that engraving time because there's a whole lot less wasted space. And what that looks like, you're building each individual letter. Still burning bidirectionally, but one letter at a time. And that made this engrave so much clearer, so much cleaner. And not to mention, it was almost half the time. So that is fill shapes individually. That's what made these so successful. And you might want to look at that on occasion on just some of your other engraves, potentially as a time saver. Okay, so I applied several coats of black paint to the back surface of this mirror to see what that does to this engraving and what it does to the effect of that embossed look. So let's take a look. All right, so really nice clean lines on the font using that individual fill. That top one is the test 2. That's one where it's engraved from the rear. Test 1 is engraved from the front. And as we roll down a little bit, you can see we still have that 3D or textured look, that embossed look on the first test that was done from the front. That one's from the rear. This one's from the front. And let's not forget our original test. I still do not like that very first test. You can see it just looks muddy. And it's not crisp, it's not clear. Same settings, but this one had the individual feel. And look at the difference in how much clearer that made that engraving. Same 15 millimeters a second, 100% power, but that one's much cleaner. With the individual feel. Now these first two tests I did at 15 millimeters a second and 100% power. Remember, ignore the one with all the marking through it. These two tests were at 12 millimeters a second, 100% power. The difference was test 2 was done from the rear, test 1 was done from the front. 12 millimeters a second, 100% power from the rear, from the front. And you can see that difference in the embossing. I'm calling it embossing because that's what it looks like. It's just etching all the way through the glass and burning away the mirrored material on the rear of the glass from the front of the glass. So you have that engraving taking place all the way through the mirror. Both of these were done with the individual feel. So I'm going to try some different, in fact probably some combinations of those engraving styles with an image on a mirror, where I'm thinking I'm going to maybe I'm thinking like maybe a lion and a lion's mane, to where it's the face and facial features and the eyes, where I want really good clarity, will be done from the rear. But then when it comes to the mane and possibly even the whiskers, do it from the front with the masking tape, so that you have two different looks in the same image, and the mane being full and bushy will have that embossed in-depth look to it. So I think that'll be super cool. Don't know how it's going to turn out, and I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm going to give it a try. So it won't be in this video because this one's getting long. So thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that little button down in the corner, subscribe to the channel, look for any future updates, look for that upcoming video with the combined techniques with the mirrors. As always, thanks for watching. This has been Steve, Hobo with Wood. We'll see you in the next video.